Hello, everyone. Yeah, this is Adam Meister. It says on the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Welcome to this week in Bitcoin. Today is August the 31st, 2018. Strong hand, long-term thinking, unconfiscatable, all that kind of stuff. It is the dawn of the fourth quarter of this year that some people have thought is like a bear year. Well, what is this fourth quarter going to do? Are we going to bring this thing in on a positive note or what? Well, I've got four really some background noise. I don't know who it is. We got Christian, we got Weingoth, we got Chris Suleiman, we got, of course, Ken Bodak, Philadelphia. And again, you know, a lot of you are enjoying your holidays. Don't get too crazy worrying about the price. It drops a lot in terms of fiat. We know one Bitcoin equals one Bitcoin. So let's start off. We were having a fun discussion off the air. What was that tweet you were talking about there, Chris? You were just saying about.
Yeah, so I think the prices tanking is driving people insane because I've seen some pretty crazy tweets this year in particular. But today, flat out, Ryan X Charles just tweets straight up, Craig Wright is Satoshi. If you don't believe me, like, you are stupid. Something along those lines. He like tried to justify it, but I don't know. It's craziness.
Oh my God! I just learned of this because I know for X Charles, he has alluded to that he thinks that dude, he's a smart dude. Why does he think? What is going on in the world of Bcash? I mean, something's wacky out there in the water. Does anyone have any thoughts on, I guess, that, but more so on the drama that is going on? Because this week there wasn't that much news, but we've had little drama episodes. Like, people are worried about the Bcash splitting on November the 15th. And it seems like Satoshi is like a larger than life player that is using his own little tactics. Anyone on the panel want to chime in on that one?
I would love to take this one.
Okay, Weingold, hit a home run, baby.
Okay, so I've been living among libertarians for about 10 years, and I got to spend a lot of time in the inner circles per se of the certain branch of anarcho-capitalists, from which Falkvinch sort of he hangs out around there, and Roger Ver, and I never met Ray Charles, but he was definitely in those general circles. My grand thesis right now as to what the heck's going on with them is more or less like this: their personality, like, they see themselves as the antithesis to some greater like global society or statism or something like that. And victory to them, like, deep down, is problematic because if they win, they become the next Bilderberg. If Roger Ver stayed in Bitcoin, he would be the next Bilderberg. He would be the next George Soros, and they can't face that, and so they have to fork it and doom themselves to failure, and that's why they have Bcash. And now, but that replicates itself inside of Bcash too. So they have this weird kind of like you can't have a big enough consensus or something like that. So I don't know. It's not surprising to me that there's like the forking that happened within Bitcoin and them leaving is going to happen within them as well. And watch, it's going to keep replicating until there's 1,000 true Bitcoins and nobody cares and nobody knows.
Well, I mean, yeah, they set the precedent there, and a lot of people are saying that it's been filtered into oblivion. I think it'll be an interesting case study. I'm eager to see how this develops. It's interesting that you called Ryan X Charles. You called him Ray Charles. Ray Charles is fine. So it's almost as if X Charles is. I mean, he must be blind if he thinks that other dude is the real Satoshi. Ken, you probably have something to say about this.
Oh yeah, I think everybody is Satoshi except Craig. I mean, that's just my philosophy. But yeah, I mean, if Ryan or Charles wants to say a statement like that, why not just sign a message with their Legacy wallet and prove it? It's not that hard to make a public claim, but it's a lot harder to prove that claim. But in this one case, the proof is no farther than one message signature away that anybody could do if they had access to the keys, if they were Satoshi Nakamoto. Ipso facto, Craig is not Satoshi Nakamoto.
Does it even matter if he's Satoshi? Like
No.
the whole point. The whole
that's
point
what he
is
said
this is
when he
a
got on stage,
decentralized
right?
project.
Yeah.
Like only the code matters, and it's only the software that we run.
Well, it would matter.
It's true, but there's a
if he dumped all of his Bitcoin and bought Bitcoin Cash. That would matter, right?
Yeah, I mean, if we did see Satoshi's coins start to move, but they haven't.
Okay, you mentioned the decentralized. You know, it doesn't matter. It's decentralized. Well, they've centralized it. I mean, I think that's the conclusion we can make here, is that it is a very centralized coin now. Well, and that, you know, when you know, is it going to fork? It's anyway. I'm not. I think I've talked too much about it. But Juan, you were going to say something?
Yeah, so I mean, I've said this before. The bottom line on Craig Wright is that not only has he failed to prove that he's Satoshi Nakamoto, but he has done everything that anybody could ever possibly do to prove that he is definitely not Satoshi Nakamoto, but he's pretending to be Satoshi Nakamoto. So the guy, just to recap briefly, the guy issued like 300 Bitcoin patents, or a bunch of Bitcoin patents, sold them to an American tech firm for $300 million, got on the BBC, a establishment state-funded, UK-funded, I believe, media organization who's defended pedophiles, by the way. He got on their board, privately, quote-unquote, showed them that he was Satoshi Nakamoto. No proof was ever issued. Whatever crypto thing was published was completely debunked by every cryptographer with credibility out there. Nobody's even, to my knowledge, even tried to defend that. And then eventually he kind of backed off, right? The guy has a clear motivation, like financial motivation, to try to establish himself as Satoshi Nakamoto for the sake of a potential patent enforcement later on. And he has never proven cryptographically, which would take about 3 minutes, as has been proven by many over the years. So,
correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Craig recently try to prove he was a developer by copy and pasting "Hello World" code from a WordPress account?
It was assembly code that he copy and pasted.
Yeah, that was his I'm a developer. Watch me copy and paste. So I'm like, oh, great, good job, bro. Thank you. That's really what I needed today.
To be fair, that's what a lot of developers do in the crypto world these days.
Yeah, all the white papers anyway.
Yeah.
Well, okay, let's say I'm going to give the Bcash people the benefit of the doubt. Maybe this fork thing will be good. He'll be able to have his own. With him out of the picture, maybe they'll become more legitimate. I don't know, because it's too much at this point. With this one guy is really everything that I see from, and I'm shocked that Ryan or Ray Charles says that. Maybe I'm not shocked that. Okay, found that like button. Colonel Swan Jr. sent $5 in the super chat.
Oh wow!
He says Bitcoin is pegged to Bitcoin. And unfortunately, at the end of the show, Ken Bozak will be talking about some pegging or something. Something
that was a good segue. That was a good segue.
We're not going to talk about that yet, what you brought up. There is something that's very adult-oriented this is a family-oriented show. But at the very end, we're going to get PG-13 because Ken has something to share, but that's not till the end. So all you pervs out there, be patient. We're going to get there. I guess it'll give you guys some incentive to. This is a wild show again because it's Labor Day and none of us want to work at all. Of course, we just want to holding Bitcoin is hard work. Trust me, to have that strong hand. We see people tempted into so many different things. And let's talk about that because we're entering the fourth quarter of the year financially. These first 3 quarters have been, there's been a lot of weak hands, a lot of people giving up on Bitcoin and stuff. Chris, what do you foresee for the fourth quarter here? Are we going to still be in this bear market where people are like, oh, it's only 7,000, that are just.
Are we in a bear market?
Well, that's the thing, it depends how you look at it. Glass half full, glass half empty type of thing. Chris, what do you think about this next quarter? Or is it going to be a different than the first three quarters, or same animal?
Which Chris are you talking to?
Chris, not Christian. Remember?
Okay. Yeah. So I remember back earlier this year that everyone was holding out for like ETF decisions. Everyone was holding out for custody solutions, and there's all these excuses that people are making about is Bitcoin going to go up? Are we in a bear market? Are we going to go into a bull market? It's just a matter of like getting people to use Bitcoin, not just hold it, but to use it to transact, and then developing network effects around it. So I think everyone knows about Bitcoin right now, and it's just a matter of getting more coins into more people's hands, more transactions, and making it easier and easier for people to use. And I think Coinbase is basically was the last year's big driver of adoption, because you could just go on your phone, link your credit card and buy Bitcoins. And it's going to take I think one more big player like
Yahoo Finance.
Yeah.
No, but that's overblown. That was overblown. Continue, Chris. Sorry.
I think as things become easier and easier for the average person to use, we're going to see price go up. People are going to start accumulating and start using it the way it's meant to be used.
We show. Hey,
and I usually when there's like a big surge in price, everyone gets interested and people start building things because now they have funding to do it. These last few months, people have been building, and next year, I think all of those things that have been built are going to start taking off.
All right.
Yeah, could I jump in here real quick?
Yeah, I want you to jump in. Yes, please.
So, I work in the crypto space, and I'm sure, so you guys all, live in crypto, but it is just being around, industry people. There's a lot of building that's going down and a lot of infrastructure that's happening. And, every time there's a bull run, the next kind of downturn, there is an opportunity for people to take all the money that they made and reinvest and, for the bad projects to kind of die out and the quality projects to really emerge. So Bitcoin, really has this kind of beautiful hype cycle that funds it and brings attention. And then it kind of has a lull for the strong hands to accumulate, for the builders to build. And then it happens all over again, and it's bigger and badder every time. So that's happened, so far throughout its history. We obviously expect it to continue, but that's kind of what I'm seeing right now, and I can confirm that within the industry, venture funded industry, early businesses, all of those organizations, they are doubling down.
Well, I want to remind everyone, all these guys' links are below because they're saying some good things. You want to follow them on Twitter, by the way. Weingalt, this next quarter, what's going on? What are your comments on what everyone's been saying?
Yeah, so one of the most bullish news that I've heard in the history of Bitcoin, and you guys probably heard this. New York City Stock Exchange CEO, like the top dog of the New York City Stock Exchange, and ICE, which is the International Settlements Exchange or Commodities Exchange, something like that. Mm-hmm. This guy was like, "Yeah, we're launching something called Bakkt. It's an institutional key management service with, I believe it's either futures or some sort of exchange. Basically, he's saying he's going to put Bitcoin on 401ks in the United States." You can't get more mainstream than that, as far as I know, right? The next level would be people actually using it for commerce. But when you can get institutional players at that level, like when you get the head of the New York City Stock Exchange saying, yeah, we're integrating Bitcoin all the way, and this, the date of November has been sort of rumored and mentioned here and there, but obviously, it doesn't happen till it happens. It could happen like more towards the end of, mid to end of 2019. But once those floodgates of, the family offices, the big institutional money can actually get in, can actually enter in a secure sort of legal way, that's when we go to the next moon. And then that's maybe with the big moon or one of the big moons. So that to me is the fundamentals are incredible. And then on top of that, there's a lot of civilian grade, more robust, more sophisticated key management infrastructure that's being built by a variety of companies that is very exciting. So I'm super bullish. Right now, the price is bouncing on technicals, and it's bouncing beautifully, by the way. It's nowhere near as volatile as other moons that have happened before. So I'm very excited.
Well, I would say I'm glad you brought up the backed again. We have talked about it on the show before. This is, I don't see that. That's not going to happen in the fourth quarter. I mean, that's my opinion at least. But that you've stated something that is longer term, and people get a strong hand. Just put it on your Trezor. These are huge events. They're going to happen eventually.
Wasn't there a rumor that NASDAQ was going to be launching cryptocurrency trading next year in 2019?
I think that's related to all of this again. It will all eventually happen. Eventually, that's what I try to tell people. I don't like to pick a specific date or whatever. 2020, 2021 will be all happy. We'll be laughing all back at this stuff. When we were saying, will it be 2019? Will it be the fourth quarter of 2018? I did want to mention with back again that Juan brought up, that the Caitlin Long, who I've quoted quite extensively, wrote about the importance of that, and she actually will be on this show, This Week in Bitcoin, in 2 weeks. I'm only going to say that's a sneak peek for anyone who's actually paying attention to this show. I'm only going to mention it this once, then we'll mention it in 2 weeks again. Ken, what do you see here for? Is this quarter going to be different than all other quarters, or are we just in for the same type of thing still?
I think I agree with Chris the most here. We've hit mass awareness, not mass adoption, but like everybody knows. I can ask anybody in this hotel where I'm at, have you heard of Bitcoin? Besides my hat being on my head, they'll probably say yes. But yes, we have hit mass awareness, and I think Chris is right. We've seen the accumulation of projects this year, but nobody really putting anything out finished, nothing polished. And that's what I think we're going to start seeing, of these polished end products starting to come out at the end. A lot of investors have put a lot of money into ICOs and other projects, and they want some return. And it's not just fiat. They want to see the project doing something where their return will keep coming, not just a one-time pump. So I think that these companies, and a lot of them are semi-legit. I mean, we've had ICOs from Kodak, Telegram, and Kick, and a lot of these people have invested a lot of money and nothing has come of them. So in order to get any money from anybody now, you're going to have things polished and ready to go. And that's what I think we're building up towards, a lot of these end products that are going to be ready to go. And I know that, Chris brought up some things where we have problems with custody and merchants and stuff, but Square recently this week just got a patent on accepting crypto as a payment processor. And Square is the #1 point of sales product for any small business in this country. So to see their opportunities tenfold off of that patent grant is great. I do not agree with patents, but it's good to see that people like companies like Square are getting ready for this inevitable commerce where we have to deal with these cryptocurrencies. And again, them being one of the biggest point of sales, being appointed a patent for crypto acceptance, it's great. But I think what we're going to see is them actually utilize it by the end of this year. Besides holding it, like a lot of these other companies have done, like MasterCard and most banks, they have patents on this as well. But have any of them actually applied these patents? It's just been for cannon fodder, for media publicity. But the patents I see coming with things like Square and Cash App, they're literally building the roadmap for e-commerce to exist in a crypto world without going too far from the US dollar and the things we're already used to. So I think we hit mass awareness, mass adoptions next year, but the things that are leading to it are going to be things like Square and other things like cheapair.com that makes it so I can book a flight with crypto.
Can I jump in here? So
Yeah.
actually, I kind of disagree with the fact that like spending Bitcoin is the way for mass adoption. I think that mass adoption is going to actually come through holding. And I think, obviously in fringe societies with fringe fiat currency, that is going to really emerge as a massive use case. So I'm a little skeptical of all this talk about actually spending it necessarily, like something that is scarce, you don't necessarily want to spend. But there are a lot of organizations like Unchained Capital and BlockFi that are now starting to allow people who have large amounts of Bitcoin and Ether to use that as collateral and get USD loans. And I actually think that's going to turbocharge this whole thing. So I'm pretty excited to kind of see what kind of collateralized usage of crypto is going to emerge. And honestly, I don't think that spending crypto is, the people think currency, they won't think spending, but that is not necessarily the most important thing here. I think that's actually one of the last effects that's going to happen.
But if we don't have use case, we don't have utility. Without utility, we don't have users. Without users,
you're saying that use case and spending are the same thing. There is use case that's outside of spending, giving your currency to someone else. I mean, for someone who can't hold value, they begging for something to hold value. And even in the first world, property prices are skyrocketing because there's nothing that holds value. So I think
but Bitcoin is the one thing that does both very well.
Exactly, but what is really necessary right now for a lot of people, like what's changing people's lives? I think it's holding is actually a lot more important. And
I would disagree. I think the ability to trade
society is important.
I think the freedom of being able to do what you want with your money is a lot, man. I wasn't allowed to invest in traditional stocks. Without the ability to buy crypto, without KYC, without the ability to invest in ICOs, without any accredited bull stuff, I wouldn't be where I'm at. And it's because of the ability to spend money the way I want to spend it, which what Bitcoin gave me that ability was spending it, using it. And I use Bitcoin every day, not to be too defensive, but I'm all in. So if I don't spend Bitcoin, I do not eat. So I use it for everything from paying my rent to buying food to flying to other countries. I use crypto for everything.
Yeah, and I think one thing leads to another. So if you start spending or making all of your transactions in Bitcoin, that means you're going to start saving more and more Bitcoin. And once we see the rise of things like security tokens that you can buy in Bitcoin and receive dividends in Bitcoin, you're going to see a ton more people starting to adopt it.
I'm a fan of Max Kaiser's theory that once we cross, say, like $100,000 and we go pretty far above that, and then we start settling, like bottoming at $100,000, that's when worldwide the recognition is that Bitcoin is, the king of store value, and then it becomes a currency, right? Once we finish, maybe not 100,000, maybe it's higher. I don't know where it is, but at some point we're gonna plateau from this exponential rise, and at the plateau now, it's money for sure. It's money, but I don't think it doesn't hurt if a lot of people accept Bitcoin today or going forward, right? So,
Yeah, I don't want Walmart to be accepting Bitcoin. I'm just,
One Bitcoin equals one Bitcoin. By the way, of course one day it will be $100,000, but we're not too worried about the fiat price here. Wait, someone said something about Walmart. Yeah, eventually they'll accept it, but
not now, man. We can't handle it. It would hurt Bitcoin if somebody like Walmart was trying to use it every day for these Bitcoin ain't ready for Walmart mass adoption.
That's the cool thing about Square. Square is layer 2. It's a private layer 2. They have the POS. Yes. Like I've been buying. I'm sorry you can't buy stocks because Square stock has been making my year. I
never got accredited
as soon as I heard BTC.
I never became a accredited investor, and I don't think I ever will, thanks to crypto. I think I'll wait till they all become securities tokenized, and I'll grab them then.
Well, I will say this: if Walmart made the announcement, we're going to now accept Bitcoin, just as a marketing tool of Bitcoin, that would be huge. I mean, just brand awareness, and I don't. Who knows? I think it would be a positive. But I want to move on a little bit. We're going to get into a little bit of an altcoin-y discussion. First off, Ken Bozak, I want you to show everybody every tattoo of altcoins on your body.
All right, well, I got my Bfred tattoo right here. Got this with Marco Pierboom. I got my Dash tattoo right here. Got this with Brian from the Dash team. And got my Monero tat right here in Vegas with Fluffy Pony about a week ago for DevCon 3. Got my
Nice.
Litecoin tattoo right here with Charlie Lee. Me and him were hanging out, live chatting while this was being done. And this is my first Bitcoin QR code I ever opened. And the funny thing is, I took a screenshot of this from Coinbase, where I opened my account in 2015, and I shared it. And I got so freaked out, I deleted it because I didn't know if I could share the public key or the private key. I was like, still that confused. But I remembered I had the screenshot, so I actually ended up getting this tattooed on me a year after I opened my first Bitcoin wallet. And then I got the Bitcoin Podcast Network logo tattooed right here, because if it wasn't for these guys, I wouldn't have had the education, the conversations, the confidence, and all the like the things that it takes to kind of take that first initial step to get into crypto. It's not that I needed to be convinced. I needed to be aware enough that I didn't have to be convinced anymore. And I just got it. It was thanks to podcasts like them. And I interviewed Andreas Antonopoulos after buying my first Bitcoin about 30 days later. So it was like a really cool moment. So I got all these crypto tattoos that kind of just immortalize these moments on my body. It's not like I hold Monero. Honestly, guys, I do not have any Monero at all whatsoever. I never bought Monero. I just got to hang out with Fluffy Pony at DEF CON, and it was a fucking sorry. It was just a really good time, guys. It was such a good time. I had the best weekend of my life in Vegas, so I had to get a tattoo with Fluffy Pony. Wouldn't you? So yeah, I got 6 crypto tats, and I do have a secret one coming up. So stay tuned for those drops on Twitter. I do have another crypto tat in the plans.
Where's the CSW Bitcoin tat? Gotta hang out with CSW.
Does
man.
anyone? I wonder if anyone. I don't believe in tattoos at all, but I believe in Ken Bozek, and I met Ken a few times in person. I wanted the whole world to see, to get the Ken Bozek aura there. But I do wonder if there's anyone with a Bcash tattoo. There probably is.
Yeah, there is. I just saw it recently. Somebody did get one.
Because they pay. I mean, those. Yeah. King of the Trolls would pay for you. I mean, they've paid for people to wrap their cars in Bcash stuff. And, that's when you're centralized like that, you can do that. I mean, that's each their own. I mean, we're going to see how these experiments work. Pound that like button. Well, okay. The reason I wanted to show the altcoin stuff is because we do have, everyone knows about Bprivate. It was a fork of Bitcoin, and Chris is involved in it. And actually, Ken and I have met Chris's brother out in Philadelphia a couple of weeks ago, and then Ken just ran into him again today talking Bprivate and all. So the big thing with Bprivate people have asked about is this rebase that's going. So, Chris, you're going to have your Bprivate moment here. Take it away, baby.
Okay, so basically Zcash is on so they based all of their zero knowledge proof code off of an older version of Bitcoin. That version of Bitcoin isn't as performant as the latest versions of Bitcoin. So what we wanted to do was take all of the zero knowledge proof code and all of those, the transaction validation code, and move that forward to the latest version of Bitcoin, version 16. So like all of our developers have been really hard at work on that over the past few months, and we've already got code so that you can sync the blockchain and process transactions with the new rebase. It's just a matter of generating the transactions. We don't have the code ready for that yet, but we're hoping to finish that off this month. So the idea is we're going to bring all of this Bprivate, Bitcoin private code forward into like the latest version of Bitcoin. And then that's going to also help us contribute code back to Bitcoin core development. I think one of our core protocol developers already has like some code that was accepted into the Bitcoin mainline branch. So it's cool, like being able to use the latest code that's been developed by like all of these hundreds of people all around the world, bring it to Bitcoin private, take all of this cool zero knowledge proof code, move that forward, and then kind of put like our own spin on everything.
Well, a lot of people have asked, well, yeah, what's going on with the Bprivate? You know, they're laying low. They've got technical dudes like you actually building it up and not just hyping it up and trying to pump the price. You're actually trying to build a legitimate coin here. And I got to say with Chris, the original reason I even found out about Chris is because you did all the coding to make it Trezor friendly and everything. And so keep on, you know, for the people that hold their Bitcoin on their Trezor, you know, eventually, and if you had it before the fork happened, you'll be able to get your Bprivate, and it'll be very, you know, working well and everything. They're doing all this rebate, and again, the rebate stuff. This is technical. Not everybody cares or knows, but you should, because this is what you know, builds out a legitimate altcoin. For those of you who believe in legitimate altcoins, again, one Bitcoin equals one Bitcoin. Since we've got your technical knowledge on here, Chris, somebody asked about mesh networks. Do you have any opinion on that?
In what capacity, or what did they ask about it?
That's that guy. Okay, if that guy can.
Gotenna.
What?
The company Gotenna.
It was just a very general question. What did the guy say? Just what do you think about?
I mean, Bitcoin is a mesh network of sorts because it runs its own protocol on top of the regular internet, and you can share transactions with one another using the Bitcoin network. So it's a mesh network because it's a peer-to-peer decentralized network.
Okay, yeah, maybe they meant mesh networks like Nexus Earth or something. That would make some more sense.
I don't know. The guy just was like, "Hey, can you guys speak a little bit about mesh networks?" And hey, we did. So I thought he got his wish there.
Hey, Adam.
Yes.
So, I mean, something that's super interesting about Bitcoin in general is that in kind of, you know, with this Gotenna mesh networks and the Samurai Wallet folks working together, is kind of like this idea of Bitcoiners are already trying to figure out how to get off of the traditional internet infrastructure and not be dependent on that. So, yes. I mean, Bitcoin is just so awesome. It's designed to run on the cheapest computer. It's designed to operate with infrastructure down. Like, you know, we're doing some amazing stuff here, and I'm just excited to be part of it.
Yes. Someone else was about to say something about that aspect of mesh networks and everything. I thought I heard someone about to chime in. Okay, that dude got his wish then. Someone out there said that Ken should get a Ripple tattoo on his nuts. Now, you're suggesting that he won't get a Ripple one, but I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if he got a tattoo on his nuts one day.
I shouldn't be surprised, but I don't think I'd ever get a Ripple tattoo. That's just, I hate it that much, but not enough to get a tattoo.
Yeah, I mean, again, the central, you're not down with the centralized coins. I don't think anyone here is, but you know, on the subject of nuts and centralization and altcoins, Ethereum, apparently today. Oh, just someone dropped off there. Juan Galt disappeared. Oh God, he shall return. But no, Ethereum today, the block reward is it's being changed from 3 to 2. It looks like they're getting, you know, they've delayed the proof of stake change a little further down the line. The going around Twitter is, I mean, again, it's what Vitalik wishes, and that's why when I heard the word centralized, I decided to bring this part of the show up. So what's everyone doing here, thinking about Ethereum and the latest developments that we've just recently heard about today? Chris.
I mean, I think it makes sense to reduce the block rewards. There's been a huge increase in price over the past year. And I think what Vitalik's trying to get through is lowering inflation so that Ethereum is more stable. So it makes sense. I also saw there were a few other more controversial EIPs that were still being debated. There was one where they were trying to reduce the reward for uncle blocks and then get rid of nephew blocks altogether. he was arguing that what that would do is lead to more centralized mining and centralized pools, because the way the Ethereum network works is blocks are like every 10, 20 seconds. So there's a bunch of these uncle blocks, chain splits that happen, and people, if they weren't participating in these central pools, would not get rewarded as well for like the uncle and nephew blocks. So that was the more controversial one, I think.
There are people that are saying seems very haphazard. What's going on over there? Do you agree with that, or do you think there is a plan, or why is all this happening?
Why is it?
Yeah, Chris.
I mean, like they're it's kind of interesting because they're trying to set monetary policy as developers, when the whole point of like, you know, starting Bitcoin and Ethereum is like, you know, there isn't a central monetary authority. So they're sort of acting as like their own Fed, but I guess they don't want it to come off that way. So they're leaving it up to like these EIPs that are decided by, you know, a dozen different people. I don't know if that's decentralized enough, but it's kind of interesting.
Well, you know, so they're cutting the inflation here, and one would think that, well, less Ethereum being produced, this might help the price. And so, you know, we're talking about this in the fourth quarter coming up. Through the first 3 quarters of this year, the price in terms of Bitcoin, the price in terms of fiat has gone down considerably. And it makes me wonder if this is, you know, this is a haphazard move just to pump the price, a temporary, a short-term thing, just to pump the price. And I wonder if it will pump the price. We shall see. All right, yeah, you're shaking your head, Christian.
Yeah. Well, Vinny Liam posted a tweet how many people are buying ICOs, and it was like nobody. So they have to do something to pump the price.
Great. Yeah, Christian, what were you going to say?
Yeah. So I mean, no, like normal people are buying ICOs. Only accredited investors, but they're buying a lot of ICOs. So clearly they haven't figured it out quite yet. I was gonna say that, you know, it just really reminded me of central banking raising rates. So I mean, that's what it reminded me of. So I mean, what are we in crypto for if you're just gonna have a bunch of developers raise rates instead of politicians?
That's deep. I like that.
There we go. Sure. Juan Galt is not. Where is Juan? He has not returned. He would have. I know he's got his Ethereum thoughts. All right. So we've covered the Ethereum there. There was some other. I don't want to get to Ken's secret news. That literally has to be.
Hey, let's talk about mining. It's exploding. Mining difficulty is exploding. Chris was saying that he thinks that Bcash hash is moving over. You want to hit us with some of those details?
Yeah, I was saying electric's getting cheaper. Companies or electric companies want miners in their provinces and cities now. It's getting real competitive.
Except for Quebec.
Yeah, Quebec, dude, what's up with Quebec doing that? They're making people bid on auctioned off mining contract prices. How is that ever going to work when New York's right across the street and is literally offering cheaper electrical discounts for miners? I love the competition in this space.
Yeah, Chris, you were about to say.
Yeah, the unfortunate part about all of this is that mining kind of becomes more and more centralized as hash power goes up, because people flock to where the electricity is cheapest.
Disagree.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah, Chris.
I mean, people flocking to where they can cut the most prices is just, you know, that is the economics of mining. I don't understand how that makes it more centralized. I mean, people are gonna have to figure out how to get cheap electricity. Like, that's just part of the mining game. I don't see that being correlated with centralization at all.
Say like a third of Bitcoin's hash power is all driven by one dam in China's hydroelectric power, and then there's a flood and the dam breaks, and then it doesn't generate electricity anymore.
This happened. There was a giant mining facility in China that was hit by a flood, and it didn't affect mining as much as people expected.
I mean, what do you see as the alternative to hash rate going up? I mean, ultimately, it doesn't seem like one dam is doing 1/3 of Bitcoin's mining, or at least supplying 1/3 of the power. It seems like, you know, over time, people are actually fleeing China finding other places that are friendly. More places are trying to make money by, incentivizing miners to come. Like, it seems like the game theory is decentralizing mining. Seems like Bitmain's hubris, it kind of took care of them. I mean, I don't know exactly what's the deal with their IPO. It seems like there's just lots of FUD around that. But I mean, I don't understand, the statement, higher hash power equals more centralization. I don't agree with that.
I don't think it means like overall everything's going to become completely centralized. I just don't want to see a world where all of the hash power comes from, 3 or 4 places in the world.
I wanted you also, Chris, to mention that you were talking about how the Bcash is making a difference with the Bitcoin mining now. Elaborate on that.
Well, I was reading that some of this controversy that was happening in the Bitcoin Cash community was causing concern with some of the larger miners, and they were moving over to Bitcoin instead of Bitcoin Cash, and thus raising the difficulty.
All right. Anyone else here? We were talking about that off air. Anyone else had anything to say about that one?
Bcash price is tanking too, so it's probably less profitable.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's that upcoming potential fork right there that's probably scaring miners back away,
All right, let's okay. We've talked so much Bcash today, but it's not exactly planned. Pound that like button, everybody, if you're liking this wild and wacky episode. We got some characters on here today. Trust me on this. All right, I want to say, meeting all these. Well, I met Chris's brother, so that's kind of like meeting Chris. But yeah. I met Christian and I've met Ken in person. And I just want to, you guys are in motion, going to events all over the place. We'll start out with Chris. What's your feeling with about events? I mean, a big important for people to go to and important to make your name at one of them. I mean, I think it's great networking and great to be in motion like that. But what's your feel with that?
Yeah, I see it as a great networking opportunity. I know that a lot of the Bitcoin private developers like going to these different conventions to kind of like network with people, spread the word around. We met up with like other coins, like some exchanges that were interested in doing business with Bitcoin private. So it's a great networking opportunity, like, because a lot of the times, like, these people get emails by the thousands and thousands, and you can't sift through every single email. But if a person's willing to like commit and go in person and represent a cause, it signals to other people that you're serious about a project.
Oh yeah.
Like sending an email or a tweet is a lot easier than actually setting up a booth and like giving out free merch and like, yeah, you have to spend money basically.
Yeah, that's a great point. We live in this world where everyone's kind of, they do everything through the internet. They hide behind everything's email or Twitter. When you can be face to face, that's rare. That's just a rare thing these days. People aren't brave enough to like talk to someone in person anymore. And I use the word brave, but unfortunately, for this upcoming generation, the kids going to college now, I guess it is brave to physically talk to someone in person. Christian, I met you in person, man. Things have been going well for you since we actually did meet in person. And what do you? If you hadn't gone to that event in the South San Francisco Conference Center, and by the way, that's where Charlie Lee, they're about to have the Litecoin event. Are you going to go to that by any chance?
I'll be there.
Ken, are you going to be there?
Yeah, I'll be there.
All right. Well, I live like 10 minutes away from there, so
you got a couch?
I might as well stop by. I do have a couch. We'll collab. We'll chat after this. Maybe I'll let you crash here. But what was I going to say?
In motion. These guys are bringing up things right now. No, you're talking about, I guess, how life has changed since you attended that one event and things have.
Yes. So I do business development partnerships for BTC Media. We operate BitcoinMagazine.com, Let's Talk Bitcoin Podcast Network, a bunch of other, cryptocurrency, fintech, media assets. So at this point, I literally go to an event every single week. We get tickets to every single event and they send me there. Great for networking. But Adam, it's crazy. So do you remember when we went to that event? It was like what, January time?
Yep.
It was completely packed. Like you like if you left at lunch, you couldn't park your car when you came back. I went to an event 2 weeks ago and oh my God, it was dead. It was completely empty. So the weak hands have gotten shaken out for sure. I feel like whoever's kind of left going to events at this point, you know, they're industry people, they're people that really believe in crypto and Bitcoin. So I mean, I continue to have great conversations at these events and find them fruitful for me personally and business wise. But it's just, I mean, if you think that like Twitter is kind of vacant and you know the hype is over, like the event hype is just dead compared to where it was, you know, 6 months ago.
Not even the ICO freaks. I mean, remember how many ICO freaks were at that thing? My God, that was well, I guess they've all sunk back into their little dark. Hey, it's all cyclical. So Ken, how about you? You're a dude that's going all over the world with these things, man. So
yeah, man, I've been to 22 conferences this year alone, 8 conferences this month. I've been to, yeah, dude, I've been to every conference I can make it to, except sometimes there's conferences that happen at the same exact time in different locations, which is like bad planning in crypto convention world. And it's been happening a lot. Hopefully they can stop trying to plan conventions at the same time and competing for the same audience. But yeah, over the course of 20 something conferences just this year, I've noticed that decrease in attendance as well from, you know, Consensus and a lot of the other, like the Texas one, the Ethereum super conference and all these conferences I've been to from early year till now, it's been dying down a lot. There's a lot less people. I've been meeting more people that are already in the space, a lot less people that are interested that haven't gotten in yet, which I would like to see in the audience more. People that aren't already in, I would like to see new people trying to, you know, get in. But I don't see as many now. There was definitely more people in, you know, at the Consensus conferences and towards that timeline trying to get in that were new. I hope we didn't scare too many people away saying like, yeah, the weekends are out. Hopefully we didn't scare the weekends out. Hopefully they're still spectating and soaking in the knowledge. But you know, the atmosphere at the conferences I go to, it's pretty funny. The tempo is, what is the next Bitcoin or what is the next ICO? And it's just the same questions from the same type of people. What's the next Bitcoin? And it always leads to, well, it's Bitcoin just with an update. You know, we had SegWit update. That was the next Bitcoin. We're working with Lightning now and a lot of other things. That's the next Bitcoin. The Bitcoin's always the next Bitcoin, just waiting to update. And they just don't get the concept. They're waiting for, like, they think that, you know, Bitcoin has to fork into a new coin to become updated. They don't understand. So I get to talk to people about that, and it's really interesting to watch their eyes kind of light up, like, oh, like, yeah, dude, you don't have to fork it. We don't have to hard fork. You know, it can do other ways of updating. And then the ICO conversations are always great. I always go, well, can you name one that ever done anything with the money they raised, including EOS's $4 billion? I'll wait. Name one ICO that has done anything. That's why I'm not talking to you about ICOs, okay? And it's really cool to get like that conversation going in a conference where most people are shilling their ICOs. And I'm sitting there saying, well, if Kodak couldn't make it, do you really think this guy out of his mom's basement's going to make it with this ICO? You know, it's not going to happen. I mean, there will be successful projects, but I don't think there's any right now that I would throw money at. Bitcoin, hodl, hold it.
Bitcoin is the next Bitcoin.
It is.
All right.
You forgot Ethereum was an ICO though.
That is true. That is true. But I'm waiting for the it's a security token to hit and Vitalik to be in court kind of stage. Like, I'm a little worried about Ethereum not being a security when it is.
All right, dudes. Well, we're getting here to the end of the show. So we're going to have everybody's conclusionary story, anything that was left out they just want to bring up. This has been a really laid back Friday show because there hasn't been that much news this week, but we've been having a blast. So we'll start with Chris. Any Bprivate, any Bitcoin, anything you want to mention, stories, anything.
So I was reading this funny story about Vitalik going to a Bitcoin Cash mining and development convention. and he got in, and security threw him out within a few minutes of him walking in.
You know,
He said he just wanted to help.
there are tweets about that. There are tweets about that out there right now. Okay, and so it was strange because there's like a picture of him there with some of the big wigs and stuff. So who knows what that was about? That is.
Yeah, I think Jihan eventually like talked to him, and he was like, "Okay, you can come back in. You can come
Yeah,
in."
I think he actually had a nice tweet for Vitalik, a friendly one. Who knows? I mean, if all these figureheads of other coins, let's put it this way: all the other coins have their figureheads. If they all, collaborated, if they all got together and colluded and tried to attack Bitcoin, they still wouldn't win. They still wouldn't win. But maybe they will. Maybe they'll be that. That's something to see if some of these altcoins are going to tag team in the future and try to become partners. We haven't seen that really happen yet. So this is not
Bitcoin Private's willing to cooperate and work with anyone. We're trying to share our code with as many people as possible.
So there you go. I mean, in this world of, we had so many altcoins out there. Yeah, maybe there'll be some consolidation between or partnering up that'll help differentiate these coins from other coins. It's interesting how all this is going to evolve. We're only at the beginning here of all of this. So, Christian, you have the opportunity now to say anything you want to say. You can also show that tattoo if you feel like showing that tattoo.
No, that was just for the private.
Okay, that was all right. That was secret then.
But yeah, so I think a theme that has kind of emerged that I've really noticed throughout my journey in Bitcoin, but especially these last couple of weeks, is the 80% want to bow down to an authority figure. They want an authority figure. They're begging for an authority figure. Even, ex-Bitcoiners who are now in Bitcoin Cash, saying that CSW is Satoshi's vision, like they're all begging for an authority figure. And it's kind of, it doesn't feel natural to not have this kind of authority figure because human civilization's never really operated successfully without one. But that's what technology is for. Bitcoin can, automated consensus, that is supposed to decentralize and get rid of authority figures. So just try to think about that when you are looking at these value props. These decentralized networks are not supposed to be startups per se, right? That's not the right lens to think about it, especially when you apply that to Bitcoin.
Dude, that was such a great, this sounds like stuff I've been saying lately. Pound that like button that the 80%ers are they crave a leader. They want someone to tell them what to do. It's crazy. Again, collectivism is the default. Being individualism, you gotta work toward that. But still, this is great observation. All right, Ken, you're going to close off the show now. Now, first of all, if you are under 18, you can't watch now. That's it. The show is over for you. If you're watching there with your kid, please take them away from the screen right now. Okay. Ken, you can now share the story that you told us about off air.
So I don't know how many of your followers may know about this story because it was a pretty vicey story, but Motherboard and a couple other mainstream articles have covered this. I thought it was great. I love how weird crypto is, obviously, and I love when weird things happen in crypto, like a 22-year-old developer named Romano from VIA Coin. He's a developer, 22-year-old dude. They had created a meme through a thread, and this can be a credit to Crypto Messiah, at Crypto Messiah, creating a meme basically like, whose butt do I have to eat to save crypto from this bear market? And it ran into a world of its own, a life of its own, and it manifested itself into this 22-year-old developer flying into the country. I think he was in like Switzerland or something. He flew into the United States just to go to Las Vegas and lick the butthole of an adult film star crypto enthusiast, Brenna Sparks. And yes, He did this. He posted a video. The images have gone pretty much viral in mainstream media, which is I think it's better than Bitcoin drugs and Bitcoin hitmen and Silk Road shit that the mainstream media talk about. Something weird in crypto. This is the perfect weird story to have them talk about.
No, wait. Hey, what happened?
I'm here.
Oh my God.
It's you, Adam.
It's me. Good. Thank God it's just me.
Yeah, everyone's fine.
All right, everyone's fine. It worked.
It worked, man. It totally worked. The prophecy came true, and Bitcoin has gone up to $7,000+. It's only a sign that if we could get more developers to eat more ass, we will go to the moon, baby. It's proof. Proof.
All right. I'm glad I didn't get to hear the entire story, that my internet started cutting out, but that's a sign that
Can I segue into one thing?
Yeah, segues, yes.
I would just like to ask the internet, whose butthole needs to be licked to get Ross Ulbricht out of prison? We have to figure out the right butthole and the right developer and put them into a video and get Ross out of jail. Hashtag free Ross. Love you, Ross. And I just got to hang out with your mom. She is an awesome chick, and I can't wait to hang out with you, bro.
Dude, well, I'm glad we turned something ridiculous into a subject that we should think about here on this holiday weekend.
I'm gonna say Stormy Daniels if you follow the if you follow the leader.
Now we just have to get you to get over there and start licking.
You know, we're talking about mainstream media and blowing things out of. I thank God I don't follow the mainstream media very much because I didn't hear about this butt story. But I will say this with bringing up Stormy Daniels. If someone could somehow get Stormy Daniels to say, "Hey, I'm bringing attention to the Ross's predicament here," that would be a huge thing for him. That would be and it would be big for Bitcoin also. So maybe someone could work it, because seriously, that dude, there's a lot behind what's going on with the Ross stuff and the corrupt officials that were involved in. That framed him or were involved in the investigation of him. Didn't they steal Bitcoin also?
They're in prison right now.
Yeah. So this deserves a further investigation. And if it takes someone like Stormy Daniels or some ridiculous thing like that to bring it to the mainstream's attention, then let's do it. So all right, everybody. On that note, have a great holiday weekend for you Americans, and don't do anything too silly. Don't panic. Have a strong hand. Pound that freaking like button. New show here every day. It usually does not get this crazy at all. This Week in Bitcoin every Friday. Again, it usually doesn't get this wacko, but we had Ken on, so we had to bring it to a whole new level here. Thank you, guest. Juan got lost in the woods again, I guess, at the end of the show, but he made the show, which is key. I'm Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Have fun. Pound that like button. Thanks a lot, everybody. See ya. Be safe.
Have a good day.
See you guys.
Strong hand.